one.
Tired of wiping on the same boss for hours?
Die, insect.
Can't seem to win against that new druid deck?
My thanks to you.
Are your teammates not standing on the payload?
Quit lollygagging. Get on the payload.
Well, grab a drink and pull up a chair. This is the Game Case Show, your Blizzard Entertainment podcast. Here are your hosts, Cuddles and Tour Arts.
Well, hello, hi, howdy, and welcome to episode 91. Wow. Of the Game Case. I am Chris, also known as Cuddles, a Brewmaster Monk on Airy Peak in the Convert to Raid Guild.
And I'm Turt, a Beast Mastery Hunter, also in the Convert to Raid Guild on Airy Peak server.
This week, we're going to talk a little bit about our weekend gaming, answer some questions from the Cuddle crew, and then we're going to be talking to one of the most incredible people that I know in podcasting and streaming. He's adorable. His audio quality is incredible, and occasionally he smells of elderberries. John, how are you doing tonight?
I have heard two of those three things when described about me before. Usually people don't talk about my audio quality, but I do get the elderberry things a lot. So glad you picked up on that. That means a lot to me.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your extremely full schedule to come hang out with us tonight. How was your week of life?
It was really cool. It's busy. I just moved into a new apartment the past couple weeks. I got engaged last month. I graduated from college last month, and I'm still like recuperating from all of that. But other than that, it's been pretty awesome.
Right on. Why don't we go ahead and dive right into what we've been up to this last week, either within or outside of the Blizzard universe. John, why don't you kick it off? What have you been up to with gaming, my friend?
Oh, so I play maybe 30 hours of Overwatch a week and about 20 hours of Hearthstone a week. And then we do the podcast and things like that. So it's been a lot of, especially Overwatch with Overwatch Contenders. And now we have Overwatch Open Division information out in the open. No pun intended, I suppose. And yeah, it's just been a lot of trying to keep up with everything going on, especially in Overwatch right now.
Right on. T, what about you?
We finally got to play Nintendo Switch, and let me tell you, the Nintendo old school nerd in me was very happy with it, especially with all the E3 announcements and stuff. It looks like there is a ton of things happening with that console, so I think it might be next on our list of things to buy. Did some hero streaming for the CTR Guild Kickstarter thingies that we're doing, and I'm worse at heroes than I am Overwatch, which means I'm pretty bad at heroes. So, but that was tons of fun. We did some games. People had a blast. So it was awesome. And then just chugging along the way. Wow. New patch dropped. Tons of exciting things to get. New pets, new toys, new trinkets. Tons of things.
Woohoo.
So, yeah.
Right on. Well, I usually try to keep this short. I have a little bit to catch you guys up on because I got to hang out with, since our last show, we obviously missed last week. Apologies for that, guys. But I was in Boston doing all the Boston things. I got to meet up the day before I left. I got to meet Totemly Drunk and hang out with him at Disney Springs, which was an absolute pleasure. I had a lot of fun with him. And then up in Boston, I got to hang out with Geek Stanton, or Andrew, who's been on this show before, as well as Fast Cart, a wonderful member of the StarCraft community, or Star Citizen community. I gotta change gears from Blizzard there, and as well as Pasha and Paxton of you may know her as Pasha Cosplays. She was a Mythic level raider in CTR. She was with Convert to Mythic, still is. wonderful young lady. And then also got to hang out with one of my channel mods, Phil the Spartan. And then 2 nights ago, got to hang out with Bordardo, a longtime supporter of this podcast and my stream. So a whole lot of fun around gaming. With gaming, I'm addicted to Fallout 4 right now, like absolutely addicted. But I'm not playing Fallout 4. I'm playing Settlement Manager, like 2017. Like that's all I'm doing. I think I have 18 settlements, and I've only gotten to information redacted part of the story right now. And I'm having a whole lot of fun. I played a little bit of Plague Evolved, which was part of the Humble Bundle. I've been playing Tour de France 2017, which no one wants to watch me stream. Thanks, guys. But I've been playing that offline. And then I got Rory McIlroy PGA Tour, which I'm having entirely too much fun with because I love golf games. Outside of that, dove into a little bit of Overwatch and played some Hearthstone. Been tearing up the Tavern Brawl this week. Having a whole lot of fun doing all my quests there. And love the fact that they're now letting us use friends matches with friends to complete your daily quests. Like, that is so much fun. I don't think... I love laddering. I normally don't like Tavern Brawls. I don't know why I'm in that little niche right now. But I love the ladder, but I love playing with friends even more. So that's been really cool to earn some gold that way. I'm just hoarding gold, and I don't know what I'm going to spend it on, and it's just all sitting there and adding up, and it's beautiful. But guys, that's enough about me and my life. Why don't we go ahead and answer some questions from the Cuddle crew? Before we do, if you would like to answer questions, ask questions. You can't answer them. You'd have to be on the show. I get confused sometimes. At least I know words on the internet for a living. But guys, you can go to bit.ly/Cuddles Discord. That's bit.ly/Cuddles Discord. There will be a link in the show notes. You could go there, and we have a questions for the show text channel. Put your question in there. We'll read it. We'll shout you out. And we always announce who our guest is going to be, and you can ask specific questions. Like we have some great ones this week. Our first one comes to us from Totemly Drunk, and this is going to be all John Horstman all the time because I don't know anything about what he's asking. So T, why don't you go ahead and read it? T, unmute your mic.
Whoops. Wrong thing. So, 2 questions. Totemly has 2 questions for us today. Let's start with the first one. Who do you think are in the best position to secure spots in the U.S. Overwatch Contenders Season 1?
Ooh, so if you're talking about the current season going on now, which I think he is, which is like Season 0, but it's Season 1. It's I would have to say LG Evil or Immortals. The other, like Group A, if you're looking at Group A right now, they're just not that good. I think the only team that's really good is FaZe, but I don't think that they have the staying power because they're half of FaZe and half of like pickups over the last couple of months. They haven't had a lot of time together. And Group D is just a giant cluster. Who knows who's going to come out of that one alive? I wouldn't be just surprised to see a team like Renegades actually come out and beat these other teams. But the teams that I would watch, LG Evil, FaZe, and Renegades and Immortals from each groups. So,
no Cloud9?
I think they've been playing too much in too many different places. I think they'll get through, but I don't think that they're actually going to do as well as people think they are. A lot of people are on the C9 hype train. I personally think that Kungarna can actually stymie or beat Cloud9.
Wow.
So, yeah, look at me making bold predictions.
Right on.
Question number 2 from Totemly. What playable arcade brawl would you like to see in this year's Summer Games events?
So I don't play a lot of brawls. So I'm like, if he means like which cool thing, like last year for the Summer Games events, we had Lucio Ball, which was really fun. If you played that, it was actually probably the only brawl I played consistently. I would love to see some form of like dodgeball or something like that, like done Overwatch style. But I'm pretty bad at this one. I don't really know as far as what they might do creatively to make that happen, because there's a lot of like intricacies, right, in making a game type like that, and I think they wanted to have some sort of staying power.
See, I would love to see them do baseball. I don't know how they do that, but like I would actually be cool with just playing Overwatch baseball sim, like just an actual like horribly arcadey version of baseball with Overwatch characters.
That'd be down.
I would totally be, and it would be very like summery. Like I'd be. I don't know how that would translate internationally. I think soccer was a very good choice for a. Although Americans aren't huge into the soccer, we're aware of it, and then the rest of the world loves it. So maybe cricket, Overwatch cricket, and then that way everyone in the Americas just won't understand what they're doing. We'll have no clue what's going on, and matches will last 15 hours. It'll just
like
be
baseball.
glorious. It's like baseball, but even longer, because that's
And
what
pins.
people want.
It's like baseball and bowling.
All right. Our next question comes from Joe Brums, a.k.a. the Kerosene Kid, a.k.a. Joe Space. T?
Yeah, so Joe asks, is HGC better than Overwatch tourneys, and why? Or why not?
Am
It's a tough
I
one.
answering that one?
Yeah, this is all you.
In a year, yes. Right now, HGC. I'll be complete transparency. I've watched 2 games or matches of HGC, and yes, it's better. But even right now, like what's going on with Overwatch contenders, they're actually here in Denver at Carbon Studio. Jamerson, one of the co-hosts of The Payload, is one of the casters for it and stuff. And I think that there's a lot more untapped market, wide appeal, and the Overwatch development team seems a bit more invested into the spectator spectacle of Overwatch with Overwatch League, that I don't think that HGC will be able to match Overwatch League. But right now, HGC, hands down, easy.
So, okay, what is HGC and Overwatch tourneys? Are these 2 of the tournament bodies that are running right now outside of Overwatch League?
Isn't HGC is the Heroes of the Storm League,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Yes.
Or is that?
Yep.
Yeah. So
HGC is Heroes.
is the Heroes of the
Okay, that makes
Storm
sense.
League. And then Overwatch tourneys, there's just a smattering amount of them yet, because basically HGC is, when Overwatch League comes into fruition, will be in my opinion, a kind of less complete form of Overwatch League. Like Overwatch League is going to be regionally based. The rumors are $15 to $20 million to get a spot in the league, and revenue sharing doesn't even become a part of the equation until 2021.
Oh, wow.
Big names like the Kraft family, the owners of the New England Patriots, are supposedly interested in bidding on spots. Echo Fox is another one. There's they're pulling out all the stops on Overwatch League and making it the closest thing to the NFL or MLB esports has ever seen.
That's incredible.
In scale and scope. The players in the Overwatch League will have salaries, they'll have benefits, they'll have contracts that are like actually done up, they'll have insurance.
What?
And then below that, you're going to have the Contenders League, which is what we're seeing right now. The Contenders League is the development league for Overwatch League. And then
So
below
like minor
that,
league baseball or the Futures Tour for the PGA.
Yeah, and then below that, you're actually going to have the Overwatch Open Division, which they just announced this week, which basically the Overwatch Open Division feeds into Overwatch Contenders League, which feeds into Overwatch League. They're putting a scouting system in place, supposedly, and it's there's a lot of time and effort gone into the infrastructure of Overwatch that I just don't think they set heroes up to do with, because while Overwatch League and Overwatch are kind of brand new games in a brand new genre, of course we can make arguments about like Team Fortress 2, or is it just, splitting hairs with other FPSs? But for all intents and purposes, let's say it's new. Obviously, Heroes of the Storm is directly competing with League of Legends and Dota. And I think they put something in place that's a little bit bigger at the start, but a little bit less developmental from what I know.
Okay, so that being said, before we jump into this next last-minute question, how long, and this is a legitimate question, how long until Jeff Bezos asks his Alexa to buy the Overwatch League?
Yes.
Like, how long until Amazon just owns Blizzard?
Right. Just
because they seem to be buying all the things
Alexa,
that are good.
Buy Overwatch. Okay. You just bought Blizzard Entertainment at $48 a share.
Buying Overwatch. Thank you, Jeff. You now own Blizzard. Oh, it was really cool he got Whole Foods. I'm sorry. This is not a current news and events podcast.
Ready for Amazon Fresh, yeah.
Oh,
with Whole Foods ingredients.
Gosh.
Come on.
Oh, that's so awesome. So we do have a last minute question from Alessander T. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. She just asked, John, how do you suggest that people learn to watch Overwatch? The characters move so fast, always, all of them. So much going on, and I get totally lost immediately.
This is going to be the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest factor to if Overwatch succeeds as an esport or not is its spectator experience. The best way I would say to watch Overwatch, sounds silly, but you might not, is to start by playing Overwatch. So you have enough understanding of what the characters do, what their roles are. And then from there, it's just, I would say repetition, watching it more and more and more. Watch it with friends who also watch it. So Katie loves Overwatch. She plays on Xbox, and I'll jump on and play with her on Xbox whenever I can. And we have a blast watching it together because we vaguely understood, even when we weren't like super into the game, we vaguely understood what was going on. We, in our Payload Discord, we will watch tournaments together, or I'll sit in like the competitive Overwatch Discord server, and I will kind of listen to what they're talking about while the matches are going on, because that's also a great way where it's like, I don't play something like Tracer. I don't really know how she works, what she's really looking to do at a high level. But hearing other people talk about that more micro, but less micro than what you hear from the casters who are trying to get, paint the whole picture. It's that's what I would say is the best way to go about learning that.
Nice. Now let me if I could piggyback on that, because you kind of mentioned something there that like watching competitive Overwatch. Like I know my Hearthstone game like started approaching another level when I started watching Hearthstone tournaments religiously, and watching some of the few Hearthstone casters that play at a top like legend level, but actually talk through every little step. Is watching competitive Overwatch going to at least give me the potential of becoming a better player? Or are these guys playing on such a different, are they on such a next level that I'm not going to be able to diva the way the pro does?
There's Overwatch and Hearthstone are definitely coming from almost entirely different perspectives. One half of a Hearthstone turn is 75 seconds, right? So you've got a lot of time to set up, explain, play, talk hypotheticals. Here's what else they can do. I would compare Overwatch to like basketball, in the sense that there's very obvious goals. You know, they're trying to put the ball in the hoop, right? But you don't really know, like, you might not know what a pick and roll is, or whatever, a 3-1-1 defense, if that's even a thing. I don't even know. You know, like, or even soccer. Like, there's one thing to be like, yeah, I'm waiting for the goals here. There's another thing to go, this is the formation they're looking at running. You know, hockey is the same thing. And so Hearthstone, one of its immediate amazing qualities from a spectator perspective is its easiness to understand. The amount of time you need to you have to explain it, and the amount of time you have to correct anything you might have missed. Whereas it's very fast paced in Overwatch. It's much more like League of Legends or Counter-Strike than it is Hearthstone or poker. I don't know. Yeah, those kind of slower games.
Okay, nice. Well, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for questions this week. Thank you, Alessandro. Thank you, Joe Space. And thank you, Totally Drunk, for those questions. I really and truly appreciate them. It's always nice when we get questions from the community. But we're gonna go ahead and jump into the meat and potatoes, which we're kind of already doing. But that's in the show notes, so I'm gonna read it. Before we dive into even more Overwatch talk, John, tell us a little bit about you. Who is the man, behind the camera, behind the man that is the man?
I like that question. I like that question a lot. It's honestly pretty simple. I'm a simple dude. I love my video games. About 2.5 years ago, set out. I was like, I loved shows like Scott Johnson's The Instance, Pat Crane's Convert to Raid. Little did I ever expect that I would actually be a regular guest on Convert to Raid just 2 years later. But, you know, I sought out, and I had some technology type. I worked for Apple for 5 years. And so I had some tech mindedness and stuff. And I'm like, I think I have something to say. So like, and there's podcasts here that aren't hitting that itch for me. And I have a feeling I'm not alone. So the end of 2014, I said by the end of 2015, I'm going to have my own podcast. I ended up about 5 months later auditioning to host what was formerly the Hearth Pro show. And I had to send in like a 5-minute demo reel of me talking about something. And then they interviewed me from there and said like, hey, here, we'd love to have you. And from there, we rebranded to Well Met. And, you know, we, kind of went from there. About 6 months later, we started the Payload. Well Met was really cool, but Hearthstone was already there, and there was a lot of people already saying things, and I was really excited to try something from the ground, the foundation of the game, and that was the Payload. So that happened, and then one night I got really drunk and was hanging out in Pat Crane's stream, and it happened to be a drinking and swearing night. And was in voice comms, and he thought I was really funny, and he's like, hey, do you want to, I checked out your shows, they're really good, do you want to come on Convert to Raid? I was like, sober or drunk? And he's like, probably sober. And I was like, okay, fair enough. And so
10 of 10 why I've never been asked to be on that show. I don't podcast sober.
I mean, I'm bad. Here's a pro tip. Here's a pro tip for all you aspiring podcasters out there. If you're really nervous before a show, grab a drink. Just telling you.
Yeah.
Telling you right now. That's how I would warm up for probably the first 80 episodes of Well Met. So
learn your bell curve, though, is the second part of that. Because it's much like playing pool at a bar. You get better as you drink, and then there's a line where performance goes down significantly. And quite instead of a bell curve, it's more like Like it goes up, you hit a point, and then it rapidly drops off.
And your awareness is always 3 drinks behind where you currently are. So yeah, 100%. That's totally true. So yeah, I've been on Convert to Raid. I interned with Pat for the last semester of college the beginning of this year. So I was doing a lot of the Convert to Raid show notes and social media stuff, and helped Pat with his podcasting book. And then recently I signed on with Onslaught Clan, and I've been a full-time, quote unquote, full-time streamer, as this is my only job, and doing streaming and podcasting full-time from there. So,
woohoo.
Yeah.
What was your, I know you recently graduated from college with, if you don't mind me asking, what did you pick up a degree in?
I finished my music degree, and then I got my marketing degree. So,
Nice.
yeah, marketing. Why not?
That aligns incredibly well. Like that aligns incredibly well with being a broadcaster. That's a talent that many folks like. You for those that don't know this, if you have an interest in streaming, podcasting, doing anything in this kind of new media realm, you are your PR team, you are your marketing team, you are also HR. Good luck, you don't have insurance, so. Make sure your significant other does, or you're making enough money to pay Cobra. Which I'm glad that it's called Cobra because they're evil. But no, it's having a degree in marketing. That's it. I decided to go full time because of Bad News Baron, who is an alarmingly attractive, very well spoken man with a background in PR and marketing. So I figured if this guy with a degree and professional experience in PR and marketing, who is also insanely good looking, can succeed on Twitch, surely my neck-bearded ass with zero experience in any of these things can do well, which has brought me to where I am today. It's beautiful.
There you go. Yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing people's story about how they made it, because it's totally different for everyone. And like everyone is like so diverse and unique. Even then, like I love being a performer. Like I love having funny little buttons and little
Things to do this to my voice whenever I want.
and all that kind of stuff. Like I think that's really fun. And and that's part of like what I've done and tried to capitalize on to, make the stuff that we work on something worth watching. So yeah.
Nice.
Well, one of the reasons that we had you on, I love talking about the streaming and getting to know as Cuddles put it, the man behind the camera, behind the man behind the stream, whatever his wording was. But the new Overwatch patch. We talked a little bit about how we're watching Overwatch, but have you had a chance to kind of dibble dabble? Any thoughts, opinions?
Yes, I have lots of thoughts and opinions and everything else. So the new Overwatch patch. So the one we're talking about, the same one, the one that's with the Reaper changes, the Roadhog changes, and then of course the new map.
Yep.
Good. Okay. Woo. Prepared for the right thing.
That's the one I was talking about. So if there's another one, I would
Lesson number 3, chat. Be prepared for the show you're going to be guesting on, and hope that you do the right research. In this case, we did. We're good.
We got this.
So the new map is amazing. They did a lot of great optimization of it on the PCR. And even some really cool stuff. Like there's a part of the map that you would never go to, but it's lower gravity. And so you can go out there and do some like cool Widowmaker type like trick shots and stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun to do. But overall, we've seen, especially the competitive Overwatch community has been very vocal about the shortfalls of 2 capture point maps in Overwatch.
Yep.
And it usually comes from the place that point 1 is either too easy or just right in the difficulty to capture. But point 2 is so difficult and so snowbally. It kind of just feels like you're always on a knife's edge, but not in a good way. And if you remember the days before we had 1 hero limit, you would have everyone would just run divas and tracers to get back to that point. You couldn't do anything at all. It was the worst. But even now, there's so many mobile characters that can stall out that it can be really frustrating to run against. And they solved a lot of that with the most recent with Horizon Lunar Colony. And so I think it's great. I think people are going to love it. I've played about 4 or 5 games on it, so I'm by no means an expert, but that part has been awesome. The more interesting parts, though, have been the changes to Reaper and Roadhog. The Reaper ones are big, and we're going to have to see if it's enough to bring him back in. But right now, how Reaper works is when you kill somebody, they drop a health orb. I forget what they call it, like soul orbs or something like that.
Orbs, yeah.
And they have either 50 or 75 health. I want to say it's 75, but and you walk over it, pick it up, and boom, it's like basically a mini health pack. The bad part of that design was it's a win more mechanic. It doesn't mean anything in fights that you've won, and it doesn't really mean anything in fights that you've lost. It only means something in the fights where you've barely won, you're injured and you need more health. And so this new one is basically he gets back 20% of the damage he deals in health, which is insane, especially when you look at heroes like Diva and Roadhog, to a lesser extent Zarya, Reinhardt without the shield, like those big beefy tanks, like into a Roadhog. I mean, it's basically a hard counter to Roadhog, in my opinion, because you're going to just bam, 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 get health right up while he, really can't do much, especially if he misses that hook. So that's a big change. The Roadhog hook change is really interesting, or damage change. They basically nerfed his overall damage by a third, but they increased the speed of which he can shoot by about a third, and then added an additional bullet or charge to his clip. So now he has 5 instead of 4. And they're in the patch notes, they say, well, his overall damage output is going to be about the same, which is true, right? You lowered it by the third, but you shoot a third as fast. Yeah, it's, makes total sense. But a big part of Roadhog's draw was his ability it was his hook, shoot, melee combo. And that was a really big deal. Now,
was that how you were supposed to do it? Hook, shoot, melee? Because I could never, every time I got hooked by a Roadhog, I would get shot in the face and then die. But then anytime I played Roadhog, I would hook somebody, shoot them in the face, and they wouldn't die, and then I would end up dead. Or healing and running away.
You missed the melee.
Melee, son of a gun.
I can remember, there used to be a time, and it actually might be now. I've maybe 2 or 3 hours on a Roadhog, where it used to be you shoot, you hook, you melee, and then you shoot again. Where the melee came first for some reason. I can't remember why it was though. But I don't think it's that way now. But yeah, it's the melee is the extra whatever damage it does. It does something like kind of pitiful, like 40 or 50, but it's enough to where it's the difference between killing and not killing a 200 health hero most of the time. But the new changes essentially make it to where you have to really, basically you have to land all your shots after the hook. So you hook, you shoot, you have to land all those shots and melee to get it. It's less consistent because each individual pellet does 1/3 less damage. So you're doing less damage overall. So you can't rely on that overkill damage. Now, it's probably a good thing, right? Because one shot mechanics probably shouldn't exist as like a standard intro into any game.
I was upset when they nerfed McCree. The stun right click McCree, because that makes the stun right click a weird, or for me as a casual player, made the stun right click a really awkward. Like, I stun you, I do the little, I fan the hammer, and then I'm standing there and I'm trying to reload. Yet you're shooting back at me now because things have gone poorly, and like that. I completely understand that it was overpowered, but when it's me being overpowered, I'm okay with it because I care nothing about competitive balance.
Sounds like a real McCree main.
Yeah. I only care about my fun. Like,
totally. Hey, I was devastated when they nerfed Zarya a couple months ago.
Oh, yeah.
I cried.
I main Murky and Hots, if that gives you any idea of what sort of a player I am about anything.
Yeah, it's all I know is that Murky is a Murloc, and any game you main Murloc, I can make some judgments for sure. So, but yeah, so I mean, it's a really interesting change. It's not so much a nerf to Roadhog as it is a buff to armored heroes like D.Va. How it works is essentially in Overwatch, when you have armor, you take 5 less or 50% damage of whatever pellet whatever damage you take in. And so when you have a bunch of, if it's above 10, it's -5. So if it's 12, it ends up doing 7 damage. If you do 20 damage, you end up doing 15. But once you hit 10, it's 5. Once you hit 8, it's 4. And so his pellets do something really, really small, but there's, dozens of them. And they're all doing 50% less damage. It means that D.Va is going to be more playable. It means that even heroes like Torbjorn, I think, has armor and stuff like that. There's a lot of different heroes that have armor that are going to be a lot better now that Roadhog's, even though he's still doing a lot of damage, kind of out of the mix because his overall damage was nerfed that way. So, whew.
No, you're good. You did. I do have a question. So we all obviously play some Blizzard games, a couple of them. Would you say with Overwatch, and most of the Blizzard games have patches that we love, has Overwatch found a balance when it comes to these patches? Or is this one where we know these changes to McCree and Roadhog and Reaper have happened, we'll expect some like bouncing back and forth between characters as we see sometimes? Or has Overwatch found the formula with their patches that what they do, I don't want to say is precise or right or correct or perfect, but has Overwatch found the formula compared to other Blizzard games?
As far as like overall, it's tough because in games like this, and I would say Hearthstone's another great example, staleness actually means the game is broken. A healthily fluctuating metas of counters and countering the counters and countering the counters is balance. Right now, we're actually in a little bit of a stale spot with Overwatch, and that's dive has become a thing. So what teams are running is they're running Winston, D.Va, Genji, Tracer, Zenyatta, and a healer, usually Lucio, but we've seen like some Mercy, and there's still some fluctuations going on there. But I would say Overwatch contenders right now, I would say watch what we're seeing there. Like you can definitely see there are, teams trying to innovate a little bit here and there. But even right now, Hollywood Hammers and Cloud9 are playing, and you see Lucio, Tracer, Winston, Ana instead of Zen, Soldier. You know, it's like that's still like that same core of 8 or 9 heroes out of the 24 that we have. And so I would say at the highest level of the game, they're about on par. I would say that they're pretty consistent with like Heroes or Hearthstone. For the rest of the levels, I would say they are much better. For example, this Roadhog nerf has nothing to do with high-end competitive play, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not really, you don't really see Roadhog at high-end competitive play. He hasn't been a problem. Same with Reaper. Sure, they might be trying to like mix it up and let's see if we can get some heroes more to play. But it's also because Roadhog is so devastating at lower ranks. If you go to any Grandmaster streamer and you're like, hey, I'm stuck in silver, I'm stuck in gold, how should I get out of it? They'll say, pick a main hero. And if you go, well, who should my main be? One of their 3 recommendations are going to be Roadhog, because he can carry a team. He can heal himself. He can one-shot heroes. Teams almost always need tanks, but he can also kind of put out enough damage to where you can even say, okay, let's run 3 tanks and 1 DPS instead of 2. So there's a lot of, there's a lot going into it, but I would say the Overwatch team is really receptive, really sensitive, I guess I would say, to the community as a whole, more so than I would say any other team at Blizzard, even if they balance different part of the games altogether. Whereas something like Heroes, you see a lot more, from what my understanding is, a lot more balance changes for the competitive aspect. Whereas Overwatch will make just about any change that they can to heroes less played, even if they're not in competitive, for the 98% of the other players who aren't playing at the most competitive level. Whew.
Nice. Nice. Now, I have a somewhat selfish question. Now I've never done. I've done 3 of 10 competitive matches to get my to actually qualify. Yeah. And that was season 1. I've never gone back. As competitive for the semi-casual player, I would say that I'm halfway decent at shooters. I'm not bad. I played competitive Left 4 Dead on a semi, like, I guess not on a amateurly professional level. I played I was top 5 in game battles. They never made it to MLG. But on a top 5, top 3 team for several years with Left 4 Dead. So I'm used to competitive shooters. Although I'm not all that great. Is competitive something that the casual player should jump into? Is it getting any better? Because I find myself in casual matches a lot of times trying to pick the character that I'm good at, but then everybody else picks everything and they're like, you have to do this. Or you have to. I find myself healing and tanking a lot. And is it better to go into competitive with the team? Is it better to go in solo? How does the casual player approach competitive, or should I just forget about that button at all?
So don't forget about it. Don't forget about it, but understand how competitive works, how the ratings work, and why it exists. For example, quick play it's to go in and have fun. Cuddles, no one should be telling you what to and what not to play in quick play, because that's the only place you can really, I would say, justifiably try to learn new heroes. If you're going into quick play to win, you should just be going into competitive, which is the purpose of competitive, is to get 12 people together to try to win. You can have fun and win. You don't have to be yelling and screaming into comms and all that kind of stuff, but you should be trying to win and climb up. how the competitive system works is it's a true skill system. So unlike Hearthstone, Cuddles, right now, I would say you're good enough at Hearthstone. If I give you the best deck in the game and give you an hour of coaching to say this is how you play it, and you play 5 times as much Hearthstone as I do this season, you will finish higher than me. Even though, quite honestly, if we go head to head, I will wipe the floor with you in Hearthstone. Because it's not a true skill system. It's partly the time you put into it.
I say this with zero humility. I'm a legend Hearthstone player that does not have the time to put into becoming legend. I say this with all due respect to my wonderful friend and fellow podcaster, Mr. Willie Dills. If Willie Dills can hit legend, I can do it. I'm calling you out, Willie. I'm doing it.
And Dills is he's a smart player. He's a good player. But he wouldn't be able to get there just on skill alone. He has to put time into it. I would have to put
he actually came up with a formula that if you put, I think it's 6 hours a day into Hearthstone and achieve over a 50% win rate over every single day in a month, you're going to hit legend. Like that's not that 50% win rate is a reasonably good Hearthstone player. Now you also have to factor in the RNG because Hearthstone is that, and that's why some people hate it. That's why I love it.
Careful.
That's what I love about it. Hearthstone
there
is
are random
RNG.
Aspects of the game.
You can have the absolute best deck and be the absolute number one best player in the world by far and get your butt kicked by somebody playing for the first time if you get bad card draw. And they happen to play the right things.
Careful.
Welcome to card games.
I mean, and so here's the thing, like what we're talking about is your margin of chance in a game like Hearthstone. In a game like Hearthstone, the best decks have a 70% win rate that are competitive, and the worst decks have a 30% win rate that are competitive, that aren't just a bunch of crap thrown together, right? So yeah, it does mean that if you're a legend player and I'm a legend player, and one of the co-hosts on our show, Ray C, he is the second best player in NA, according to GoSu Gamers, and the 5th best in the world. He's going to Seat Story Cup. He's got like $45,000 in winnings in the last year alone. He won PAX East, I think it was. PAX South.
Well then.
He won. So like he's an amazing. Cuddles, if you and I play a little bit and go up against him and we play him 10 times, there's a good chance that we will win 2 to 3 of those games. Just because of what that is. Now, with Hearthstone, the idea is you have enough games to play to root out those margin of errors. For example, Pavel, the world champion, he's been unstoppable. And you still see that it's like poker. You still see the same 8 names at the table at the end of the day. It's still the same 8 names. There are random aspects of it, but to say that like
you definitely do need to be skilled. I'll give it that. I probably overstepped considerably there.
I don't think you did. I think,
but the hyperbole that I built in
and what we mean by RNG, I think people take differently than what we actually mean by it.
It's not actually. I've never played Hearthstone. I could win the Hearthstone championship. It's more so take 2 equally skilled players and good luck. I mean, how many times have we seen in Hearthstone championships players that we know are better than someone else lose 3 out of 5 of their matches because of crap card draw? And that's, I mean, welcome to World Series of Poker. Welcome to Magic the Gathering. Welcome to any game that forces you to draw cards randomly out of a shuffled deck. Like it's not 2 people meeting at high noon in the town center and relying on their marksmanship.
Well, and thankfully now in 2017, we have double elimination Swiss for a lot of the different tournaments. So it means that to lose and get out of a tournament, you're usually playing at least 12 to 15 games. And so it's not a perfect bell curve. You're not doing 30 games, but you're getting to the point where those averages end out to where, yes, sometimes the best players lose out in the round of 64. But it was at the spring championships, 15 out of the 16 players who were in the top 16 were all signed by professional teams, whereas I think it was 104 out of 128. No, that's not quite right. It was 94 out of 128 didn't have teams. So it's really tough to say like, oh, well, there's so much randomness in the game that, the best players don't get to the top. There are times when that happened. Doc Pone from Canada, I can think of, was a player who made it to, I think he got like second or third at the Winners' Championships, and misplayed as he didn't play his best the way through it by any means. He was not the better players in most of those matches. Got some quote unquote luck. He's gotten really good since then, so that's why I feel good about using him as an example. Where he's spent a lot. I don't know if he spent more time or just like realized his mistakes or is just nervous. It was the first games he was on that was being streamed, but he plays it at a really high level. And so that definitely happens. But Overwatch, going back to Overwatch, is a true skill system, meaning that if, let's say you're a casual player and you're going to place at, I'm just going to throw out a random number, 1,500 between bronze and silver. The people that you're playing against have the skill to play at 1,500 or the skill and will to play at 1,500 to go there. So like it's a little bit more if you outperform. Overwatch uses a system that if you outperform as your hero at that rank, for example, if I get 3 gold medals as Zarya and I outperform 90% of other Zaryas in Diamond, I'm going to get more competitive points. Or if I underperform but we win, I'm going to get less. And so if the system works after you get through your placement games, you should be placed with people of your skill and mindset ideally. That's how the system ideally works. The question is, do you run into the one thrower or the one guy who misuses what competitive is for, decides to play Sombra, not communicate with anyone about it, not switch off after it stops working? That's where it gets hairy, but you should play competitive. In fact, I would say if you're playing and you want to win, competitive should be where you always should be. Competitive doesn't mean you want to be a grandmaster player. Just means that you want to play with other people who want to try.
Nice. We do have one question in chat that I think deserves being answered.
Yes.
From Alessander, she asked, John, in StarCraft, a player at the tournament today took wins off of a quote unquote much better player by using strategies and timings that he had developed rather than the usual strats. Can being unusual help you win in Hearthstone and or Overwatch?
Hearthstone, depending on the format, sure, but almost 90% of the time of any decently run tournament, no. Because most players are bringing the same decks in the way that they are designed to win. If you bring a counter lineup, all you have to do is ban one of those decks and boom, all of a sudden their whole idea is thwarted in that perspective.
Well, here's the thing though. So we kind of know when we look at like somebody's bringing a warrior, somebody's bringing a whatever, we kind of know what those are, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, this guy's bringing, that's his patron warrior or his, now that that's dead, this is his pirate warrior deck. What if somebody brings I know the Americas versus some of the Asian countries, it's almost an entirely different meta. So what if somebody brings an entirely Asian-esque meta to an American tournament? I know that this isn't actually a thing now, but what if somebody brings like Murloc Pally, and you're expecting them?
Oh, it was
it's
a
still
good
a
thing like a month ago. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Murloc Paladin was a big deal.
So
One
somebody
of the best
brings
decks for a couple weeks.
somebody brings something weird, something that they dreamed up, something that they haven't played in a tournament. Does that benefit them, or is it so against the meta? Like, is the meta for Hearthstone so locked in? Because I know we have, like, we see Hearthstone tournaments weeks after a new adventure card pack unlocks. So we're seeing the meta still kind of moving a little at some of these, although it locks in eventually. Like right now, Ungoro is, I'm presuming, pretty locked in. Like what's getting played is probably fairly standard with some changes, but there's nothing surprising. Can you build a deck that just surprises the shit out of people in Rex face? Or is that just...
So, hypothetically, yes. Sure. Absolutely. It's really complex with Hearthstone, though, for a couple of things, because you have to deal with, is it Conquest, where the winning deck stays, or last hero standing, other way around, Conquest, where the winning deck can't be played anymore, or last hero standing, where the when you lose with a deck, it can't be played anymore, kind of thing. So like, is what type of format is it? Then you get a ban on top of that. So you get to choose, I don't want to play against this class. I don't want to play against this class. So, hypothetically, let's say you bring a really control-y lineup. In Hearthstone, we talk about something called the rock, paper, scissors meta. It's a very simplified version of the meta clock. But ideally, what it is that control beats aggro. Aggro beats mid-range decks, and mid-range decks beat control decks. It's the rock, paper, scissors of the game. So let's say right now we're in a really control-heavy meta. There's two ways to go about it. I'm going to bring control, or I'm going to bring mid-range.
Yep.
And that's the way that you're going to go about it. And like some people, every once in a while, be like, you know what, I'm going to bring aggro. Or you know what, the only deck I don't think that I can beat is Pirate Warrior. So I'm going to directly target Pirate Warrior. And the problem with that is it still has to, in most cases, get a win against something else besides Pirate Warrior. So you back yourself up into a corner a little bit with that type of thing. And usually the best way to like choose your lineup, at least in Hearthstone, is you typically want to target a deck so you know which class you don't want to play. Most of them target warrior or shaman right now. So they'll ban warrior or shaman and then build your lineup around what beats the other ones. However, when 64 players do that, you end up with usually about an even split with like 2 or a mashup of about 8 decks in total to bring it. And, again, hypothetically, yeah, you could totally find a deck that beats everything, but it's just, there's not that. And then you always run into the fact that, again, the most polar win rates are 30 and 70%. So even if you target it in the first round, all I have to do is go, oh, interesting. That guy's running this, this, and this. I now know that. Surprise over. And you have to now, with that, now that that surprise factor is gone, you still have to win through all those different rounds with much more refined decks.
Even if somebody comes with that deck round 1, match 1, right click or click on the gear, concede, and then are you really going to bring 6 stunning, alarmingly awesome decks? And then what happens round 2 when everybody sees that? Even if you were able to do the statistically impossible and bring out a 95% win rate deck, everyone sees it.
Yep. And once they see it, usually there's usually once people see it and the surprise is gone, there's not such a thing as a 95% win rate deck. On the Vicious Syndicate meta reports, which are amazing, probably one of the primary resources for Hearthstone. And Michael makes a great point too. In most tournaments, especially the Hearthstone Championship Tour, deck lists are presented ahead of time. So you know what everyone is bringing. So, you know, every card in every deck. What you're talking about is much more realistic if they introduced like a sideboard, so where you could tech in specific cards against certain opponents or certain whatever. But the Vicious Syndicate meta report every once in a while will come up with something called a meta breaker, which is a deck that against the rest of the field, based on statistical analysis of what people are playing, has the best chance to quote unquote break the meta. And you can win a lot. You have really high win rate across the field with that deck. Unfortunately, with tournaments, those really don't exist. Disguised Toast has tried to do it a few times, and he actually like made it to like the top 32 of PAX South. And people were like, whoa, that's so amazing. That's so cool. But he didn't really have a chance to win it all because after that, everyone kind of knew what was in his decks and what they were waiting for. So,
well, and then he got banned.
That came later.
Then he
actually
banned.
slept through the last day. So he actually slept in and missed his matches and got disqualified.
God bless people that sleep through, because that's why I got to stream from the Elite Dangerous booth twice. I will not call out the people that slept in, but I was out drinking with them. And I made it to the con floor.
Sabotage.
They did not. That was at PAX East this year.
You go get the streamers drunk for whatever they're next on the booth, and then you just go show up at their stream time and be like, nah, they're too hammered.
One of the things that I love about TwitchCon is they realized and recognized that streamers are all a bunch of lushes. And TwitchCon starts at like 11 or 12 a.m. Like it either starts at 11 or noon. Because they're just like, well, we realize people don't want to be there at 9. So
yep.
We're going to start later. We do have one question that we always ask. I saw Turarts deleted it, but we're going to ask it anyway. 30-second to 90-second elevator pitch for somebody that wants to get into Overwatch. What should they do? How do they play? What do they need to do? What would you tell somebody that's like, I want to play Overwatch, but I don't know how?
Start by determining your strengths and weaknesses. So now, are you a mechanically skilled player, or are you more strategically skilled? I'm more strategically skilled, but I want to be more mechanically skilled. So I then, from that, chose the hero that I wanted to play. I chose Zarya. Zarya has the ability to bubble others, so it's very strategic in how you play. If she's charged up, she can do a ton of damage, so she's what you would call a carry hero. If you're in the lower rankings, it's really difficult. Like, as Cuddles said earlier, like, I could be a legend player, I just don't have the time kind of thing. In the same thing, we see a lot of people in bronze or silver who would say, I know I'm a higher rated player, I just don't have the time or ability or play the right heroes to get out of that rut. So picking the right hero is great. If you're a really like skilled person mechanically, something like Soldier 76 or Zenyatta or Tracer or Genji will get you out there faster. So do that. Third, if you can, this is like a huge bonus, find somebody who thinks like you and wants to improve like you in duo or triple queue. Don't do more than that, because you're going to start getting paired up against full 6 stacks, which chances are they're going to be better than you. That's just how it feels anyways. And so, but queue with the same 2 or 3 people. Even more bonus is if they synergize. Like if I'm Zarya, I love playing with a Pharah, because I can use my Graviton Surge and then she barrages, and we're really in sync and communicate, and boom, done. Fourth, soak up as much information as you can on YouTube. Join a Discord community about Overwatch. read all the articles you can, watch pros play, go into their streams, ask them questions. There's so many amazing Grandmaster streamers between 20 and 100 viewers that'll answer any and every question that you shoot at them about that hero. And don't get frustrated. Most of what you need to learn has to do with time, not skill. In the sense that time will help you develop that skill. So,
Nice.
that was like 90 seconds, but
That was beautiful. So guys, this is going to bring us to a wonderful and magical time of the show. This brings us to the time for shout outs. John, you got anybody you want to shout out this week?
Just a shout out to Onslaught and all the co-hosts for the podcast. Ray C, good luck in Germany, and Danny Donuts. They're both new hosts on Well Met, and then Rosh, who's on the payload, and Jimmy. So shout out to all of them.
T, how about you?
Shout out to the CTR community. I have been taking over the Convert to Rage stream and doing some stuff, and they have been super supportive as I have had a ton of technical fun glitches to have to learn. But no, it's been super awesome, so thank you to that. And then the CTR BlizzCon party Kickstarter is at 94%, so we'll shout out a couple more weeks to all those who have donated or will donate, because it looks like we're probably going to have a party. Still have like 3 weeks to go, so
Woo!
shout out to all you guys.
Yay!
I
Give me something to
change-
do at BlizzCon. No, go.
Can I change my answer to what I want to see for the Overwatch summer game? I want to see jousting where you have heroes riding on top of an Orisa, and Reinhardt's on top of an Orisa wielding hammers. That's what I want.
Oh Lord, that'd be
Okay,
good.
sorry.
I'm
Tangent.
kind of into this. I want to see female full contact karate. That's a joke for no one that got that. That's actually a callback to season 1, episode 3 of Cheers. No one is gonna get that. I've started watching Cheers again because of Boston. Yes, I'm calling out a 30-year-old television show, and they do mention female full contact karate. The thing, a gentleman says that baseball is dead, and that's what he's into. This is where we've gone, guys. We have gone down the rabbit hole. Anyway. Shout outs for me. Shout out to Totem. Shout out to Geek Stanton for the wonderful tour of Boston. We actually walked by it's called the Granary Burial Ground like 3 or 4 times, and didn't realize that we were walking past the grave of Sam Adams, which was really cool. Also, shout out to Chipotle, who actually, if you've played Fallout 4 and done the Freedom Trail quest, there's a Old Corner bookstore. That's not a bookstore anymore. It's now a Chipotle. Yay, America. We evidently hate history.
Ebooks.
Shout out to Fastcart Pasha Paxton and Phil the Spartan for hanging out with us in Boston. It was like, I have to say, if it wasn't for your winters up there, guys, I would live there. I would much rather sweat than shovel 4.5 feet of snow. So there is that. Also, huge shout out to everyone in the Cuddle Crew, everybody that comes and watches me even play Tour de France 2017. I can't believe you guys actually watched me play that. I love that game. But this brings us to a very important moment of the show. It's where I get down on my virtual knees and I beg and I plead for those all-important 5-star iTunes reviews. Guys, if you like what we're doing, I want you to leave 5 stars for the game case. If you didn't like what we're doing, I want you to leave 2 stars for the I'm a Genji Main podcast. It's a podcast entirely about maining Genji. It's actually quite horrible. They're bad people. But 5 stars for the game case. If you leave a review, we will shout you out on the show. John, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me everywhere at Kicked Tripod. So twitch.tv/Kicked Tripod, Twitter at Kicked Tripod, or just go to kickedtripod.com. Find Wellmet at wellmet.blizzpro.com and the payload at payload.blizzpro.com.
John, before we let you go, can I selfishly ask you to add those links in the show notes?
Done.
So that I can put them properly in the show notes over on iTunes. Guys, that is going to do it for tonight. John, thank you so much for coming
Yeah, this
on.
is a blast.
I have so much fun every time I hang out with you. I can't wait to see you at BlizzCon.
It's gonna be blast. I will not be plastered this year. That was a lie.
Will.
That was a lie.
The first time we lock eyes and then embrace each other in a bond of brotherhood, I shall buy you a beer.
Boom, I'm in.
There you go. Or let you drink from my smart water bottle that will be
That's
full of
definitely
vodka.
water.
No, it's definitely water. If anyone from the Convention
Definitely
Center
water.
security is listening, it's totally water. Let me in. Yeah, that's the thing. So, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. John Turart, say bye.
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 Thank you for listening to The Game Case Show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. You can find Cuddles at The Game Case, Turarts at Turarts, and you can find the show at The Game Case Show. Join us live Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/thegamecase. Archived episodes are available at youtube.com/thegamecase. The theme music for the show is Celtic Impulse by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com and is licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0.